Hi everybody, this is Uzu for the iPad. Uzu is a kinetic multi-touch particle visualizer, and that's a whole lot of big words, but basically it's just a thing you play with and it makes a lot of fun stuff happen on the screen. So you might have seen the other video on YouTube. What I'm going to talk about today is just walk through the actual features and how you specifically control them, and maybe talk a little bit about what each of them does. So first we have the single touch. Oh, I guess I should start off by saying that what makes Uzu unique is that depending on the number of fingers you have down on the screen at any point in time, you'll get a different mode of interaction, and you can switch back and forth between these modes to create a whole number of effects and animations, and you can synchronize this to music or with friends or anything. So I'm going to talk about the different modes and talk about how you control them. So the first is the single finger mode, and you can just sort of run your finger around the screen and particles will spawn where your finger is, and if you hold it still, it will kind of radiate like this, and you can sort of move your finger around. And so you can use big gestures or you can use very small movements. The very small movements can create different effects, and throughout Uzu the gestures can be big and dramatic, and they can also be very subtle to create different effects. So let's move on to two fingers. When you get two fingers, you're going to get this sort of attractive area like this. You know, and it'll get bigger and smaller depending on how wide you go. And you can do fun things like put the fingers out here and grab all of them, collect them, and sort of start to move it around. And of course, the faster you move it, the different color particles will move to the outside, which is a lot of fun. You can use this to collect fireballs and throw them and all sorts of things. Let's move on to three fingers. When we put three fingers down, we're going to get this sort of vortex thing. It's kind of fun. Turns out Uzu is the Japanese word for vortex. There's also a sushi roll named after it. Maybe some of you have had that. So with three fingers we can do a lot of really fun stuff. It's going to chase after the three of them. We can switch between different fingers and move them around. Oops, I went to four for a second. I like to throw them back and forth sometimes. So we're going to move on to four fingers. If we go to four fingers, you'll see that it does something similar to the three fingers, but it's tuned in a different way. The red particles actually move towards the outside, well, in the event that you've colored them red. And you can get down really small and let it sort of collect and pull it out and do all sort of great effects. So, five fingers. Now this is where it gets interesting. You can grab the whole thing with your hand like this and sort of move it around. And you'll notice that it moves sort of in a 3D perspective here. You can throw it, stop it, move it around. This is one of my favorites. This is just sort of the grab them and throw them mode. So you can be in any of these other modes, say like three fingers. I'm going to put two fingers down and it freezes it, and I can move it around in 3D space and throw it. I can do that from any of the other modes. I can go into the five finger mode and freeze it and move it around, which is a lot of fun to do, to sort of get the thing in the different shapes and freeze them and then see what you have. So let's move on to six. Now past five fingers, I recommend of course using two hands. Most of you have no choice. So we're going to go like this. Now it's going to, the different modes above five fingers are meant to be a bit larger in their display, and more subtlety will be required when you move your fingers around. So we've got this nice 3D shape, and I'm just, now this is going to actually respond to translation. So as you move your group of hands around, or group of fingers around, sorry, it's going to slide around. If you compress your fingers, it will sort of make it move around nice and slowly and big. If you expand them, think of this like tightening a rubber band. It'll make it contract and move around. And of course you can still move it around while you're doing this. And then at any point in time you lift a finger and we're in that 3D mode. Five fingers here. So, and this one has a lot of subtlety to it. Try moving your hand slowly through here or quickly. This is really relaxing, this one. Happy little trees, right? At seven fingers we have the spiral. Now, the spiral is kind of interesting. If we get our hand sort of centered here, the spiral will also react to the same type of interaction that the six finger mode reacts to, in that you'll be able to expand and compress to get different things to happen, and then also translate to offset the various curves. And then from here, if you can, of course, you can lift two fingers, go right in that five finger mode, check your spiral out. That's kind of fun. and then make it go again. You can sort of do this even while you're moving it around. So let's go down to 7 here. From 7 we're going to transition into one of my favorites, which is 8. 8 is a sort of spin on 5. If we grab it with 8, now it kind of freezes it, but what we can do now is smash it. We're going to push. I'm going to do it very subtly, very slowly, and just kind of push, and then smash it downward, and then pull it outwards. And we can sort of do this. And what's interesting is that I can release a finger, and then we're right back into the 7-finger mode, and here's our spiral again. So we can transition between 7, or rather this is 8, and then into 7, and then to 8, and sort of just control this spiral and let it do what it wants, or rather what you want it to do. Zoom it around. This is a lot of fun. Now you don't have to go into the smashy 8-finger mode directly from the 7-finger mode. You could do it from any of the other modes, from the 6-finger mode here, and smashy. Ooh, looks like I put down 8. Sometimes my thumbs are fat. Anyways, let's talk about 8 fingers. 8 fingers we go a little, or I'm sorry, 9 fingers, we go a little differently. We do this, and now each finger sort of gets its own little, I don't even know what to call this shape. Some people have called it a little butterfly, a little springy rubber band thing, and then each finger gets one. This would be a lot of fun if you get a bunch of people on the iPad, and we played around with that. And from here, you can sort of lift, and the little guys will jump back and forth. And these are just a lot of fun to play with. You'll notice some of them are red, some of them are green. Now, we're going to go into 10 fingers. 10 fingers is where you're going to control the color and the size of the particles. At 10 fingers, you notice everything just freezes. Let me get a nice shape and see if I can transition. We're going to go down. Well, it makes it freak out a little bit. So we're going to slide forwards and back to change the hue, and left and right with our hands to change the size. So we have something big and blue. And we can play with it. And we can just do this on the fly. You can just, whenever you want, grab with both hands, change the color, change the particle size. So you can do some really fun things with this when you're in the 9-finger mode, and we're going to do it like that, and you tap with a finger that of course sends you into 10, but since it freezes things, you can get this nice little stop action effect while the colors change, which is just sort of crazy. I only discovered this after I had even released it to the store. So, a lot of fun things that can be done with this. I'll be posting some more videos, hopefully, about little tricks, little tips, and little maneuvers. I want to thank everyone who's downloaded it so far. I'm excited to see people are enjoying it. We've got some updates planned to it, hopefully video out feature I'm working on right now, so stay tuned for that, and some other things planned. So again, thanks for watching, and I hope you get to see Uzu soon.